This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is Fast Break Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, as always, is Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And Dave Oster.
Hey, everybody.
And today we're going to be talking about the Kyrie Irving trade to the Boston Celtics. We're a little bit late on it, but hey, we got to cover it. We got to talk about it. Then we're going to get into our power forward rankings, our very controversial power forward rankings, because everyone's upset about our rankings in some way or another, whether it's shooting guards, whether it's small forward, whether it's point guards. People are upset about it. We put people in the wrong place, but hopefully power forwards isn't too bad and we don't have too many problems with it. If you're listening on Blog Talk Radio, thank you so much for checking us out. If you download it, it means so much to us. And if you're watching on YouTube, what's up? We gotta have 4 videos come out on this podcast, and then we're gonna have another one with the whole podcast on YouTube. So if you want to watch out for those and you want to stick around for more Fast Break content and all other great MVP content, hit that subscribe button. But boys, let's jump into it. On Tuesday, August 22nd, the Cavs and Celtics agreed on a deal that would send Kyrie Irving to Boston in exchange for Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, Ante Zizic, and the Nets' unprotected 2018 first-round pick. And there's a lot of ways that we can look at it. And I first want to start off with the Kyrie side, because obviously we talked about Kyrie and where he could go. And I thought that the Boston trade would make most sense for both teams, because Boston had the future assets, but then also had Isaiah Thomas that could help out the Cavs now. So ultimately with Kyrie, do you think that this move and Boston as a team is the right place for him to become this star that he wants to be?
I honestly think it's a good move for them. It finally feels like Danny pulled the trigger on something.
He did,
and
I'll give him credit.
Yeah, and even Boston fans are a little surprised, because the narrative quickly changed from Isaiah Thomas being, well, just because he's 5'9", he's an even better player than Kyrie Irving too. Now Kyrie Irving's got the height, he's got all the ability.
25 years
slightly
old,
better athletically.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry about the hip injury. So, I mean, I think that Boston will absorb his and love him pretty quickly. He's a phenomenal athlete and a phenomenal scorer. Like, I think it just shows how much Danny Ainge values keeping the core in the same age range and the contracts. It's a really smart move, because with today's NBA and the way that rookie contracts are set up, and going forward, you have to be very careful about matching the timelines for contracts and the timelines for your window. And because of this huge shift over the last couple of years with turnover, basically I think 4 out of the 5 stars from last year are no longer on the team or no longer starting. So
for the Celtics?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's crazy. He's
the only
gone
one
young.
staying is
Horford.
Al Horford. And I have a speech impediment, apparently. And Horford, I mean, was new last year.
Exactly. So I think it's awesome that he's kind of gelling this whole timeline together. The contract situation is going to be nice. You're going to have time to figure out. I think, honestly, this is a great move, and I think Kyrie's going to be a solid fit for the Celtics.
At least 2 more years for Kyrie. He's got this year and then next year for $20 million, and he's got a player option in 2019, but we know with player options, those guys never take it. But at least for Kyrie and how he fits on the Boston Celtics, Ricky, how do you think this fits with Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, Marcus Morris?
I mean, the thing that I first thought of when the trade happened was, so you want to be the guy,
Well, we knew that.
With Horford and Hayward, and it's like...
To be fair, those are 2 guys without egos.
2 guys without egos, yes, but the thing I look at is the big hype with Kyrie was, he wants to go and he wants to be the guy, he wants to do, and I'm thinking, you know what, like, if you want to be the guy, and this is me, like, a little pound the chest thing, it's, if you want to be the guy, go be the guy, go to Brooklyn, go to the Suns, be the guy, build a team up, and go through the hard work. Like, that's what I kind of think of.
Being the guy doesn't mean being the best guy on the worst team.
Yeah, and also one thing, too, I mean, he's still going to... I mean, I feel like Isaiah Thomas was still the guy, even when they signed Gordon Hayward, and he was the guy when Al Horford was there.
Yep.
I still think that he's... And I think that Kyrie takes over that role of being the guy. I think he's going to be the main 2 scorer when it comes down to the last second. I don't think
he's the clutchest guy in the NBA. I mean,
one of them, yeah. I mean, I put him and KD up there for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, at least KD last year. Other than that, KD not really. But I think when it comes down to last second shots, and Kyrie's going to be their first option. It's not like they can't go to Gordon Hayward or they can't go to Al Horford, but I think Kyrie's still going to be their first option. It's more about, I think, Kyrie just separating himself from LeBron, because playing next to Gordon Hayward, and I think someone on the Ringer said this on their emergency Ringer podcast, was, getting out of the shadow of LeBron James is different than the shadow of Gordon Hayward or the shadow of Al Horford. So now being away from the LeBron James shadow, if you win a title in Boston, it's not like, oh, you won it because you had LeBron James. It wasn't LeBron James' first title in Cleveland. It was Kyrie bringing a title back to Boston. So I think now I think it is Kyrie's team. I think he did get what he wanted. And he's going to a playoff team, which is something that he wanted. I don't remember if Boston was initially on his list, but he goes to a team that was, has been in the Eastern Conference, won the Eastern Conference last year. Obviously, their best player from that last year's team is now in the Cavs, but still, I think that Kyrie got what he wanted. I think, for your point, Dave, of matching up contracts, not only have the Boston Celtics done a good job of that, but like you said, other teams in the NBA have done that. The Suns have obviously done that. The Kings, with all their rookies, have done that.
They're going to run
the
into a
Sixers
problem with
too.
the thing.
They've
got like 9 guys on rookie contracts.
But at least for the next 2 years, the Celtics are fine.
Yes,
because Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, those guys are locked up. Kyrie's locked up. Gordon Hayward, Al Horford, those two just recently signed. So at least long term,
they've got a great window
for the Celtics. Do you think that both of you guys? Do you think that the ages match up and that the Celtics are better long term than the Cavs, especially with the whole LeBron and
110%.
IT?
110%.
Well, because the Cavs are going to not be a team next year.
Well,
They're not
that's
going to be
if
the
LeBron
same team.
leaves.
Well, and that's why, I look at this trade, and I know you wanted to start with the Celtics side, but I think this fits into it as well. I looked at this trade, and I looked at the Cleveland side, and I went, clear winners. Everything that they did was basically telling me, LeBron's leaving. We know LeBron's leaving. Look at IT. They bring in IT. Yes, they could give him money, but they could let him walk. More cap space filled up. I think they get a Nets pick that could be top 5, top 3, could be even a number 1 pick, depending on how the Nets are this season. Yeah, they added some talent, but let's be honest.
It's also the East, though.
We're still expecting them to be a top 5 pick come next year. I mean, I'm not expecting them to blow the roof off of anything and be like a playoff team or anything, but I look at the side and I look at the Cavs and I go, you're building for the future with cap space and a very high pick in a loaded draft, what we always say every year.
Well, it's more of a, I would right now when we're looking at it, we know the top 5 is going to be loaded.
Which
but we don't know.
The Nets pick could be.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that last year we had a loaded draft class where when you're going into the 20s, you still have a decent NBA player. We don't know really what that's going to look like. The top 5's looking nice, but I don't know if deeper that's going to be the same case. However, I don't know if it's strictly a move for the Cavs for a future. It gives them the option for a future because then, you can just let IT go. You can let LeBron go. You have the cap space. You have the Nets pick.
Well, they don't let LeBron go. LeBron lets them go. That's how that
but with this, you can even if that Nets pick is valuable and LeBron wants to come back, you can still bring back Isaiah Thomas if he is healthy and that hip is fine because he's he does rely a lot on athleticism, but even in that 34 33 range when IT's in that 3rd or 4th year of that contract, I wouldn't mind him coming off the bench as my 6th man. I mean, Isaiah Thomas is still going to be valuable. He's not going to be an all-star probably when he's 34 or 35, but he might still be valuable at that age. But also, that pick, if the Nets are terrible and LeBron is staying, you can trade that pick and still bolster this team and still go out and get a star and still help this team.
Win-win for the Cavs no matter how you look at it.
But I also think it's a win for the Celtics because, you again, going back to the original thing that I was saying, you line up the ages and you're setting up for the future because we don't know what the Cavs' future holds because of LeBron's option to leave. We know that the Celtics are at least going to have this core for the next 2 years.
Yeah, they look like they're surefire Eastern Conference Finals for the next 2 to 5 years. I would say, honestly, it's 80. It's 90%, 89%, 88%. Literally, that's the only drop. They are so well prepared for the future, and I completely trust in what Danny Ainge has done. The only question for me was really giving up Zizic and the Brooklyn pick because, like Ricky said, potentially an overpay with that pick. They have a lot of picks though next year or the following year.
They got the Kings/Lakers pick, right? And then they got the 76ers pick.
Exactly. So they still have other options. It's not like they're forsaking their future. So I think this is a team that, honestly, they are the best equipped team going forward in the NBA. So they could afford to put that Brooklyn pick on the line and be like, you know what? We're going to get this deal done. We're going to get ourselves, the point guard that we're going to run with for the next, hopefully
10 years.
Yeah, hopefully next 10 years in best case scenario. But honestly, the way that team rounds out is nice, but on the other hand, the Cavs' future, I could see them going fire sale within 12 months from now. I could see this team having literally maybe led by Kevin Love.
well, we'll get to Kevin Love a little bit later.
And here's one thing.
I'm just saying, I think everybody on the team becomes either gone or a trade asset.
I was making a bad joke because we were doing power forward.
Well,
Kevin Love's there.
I just want to throw this out, though. I mean, I'm using the 2-year window that you just said. They have 2 years with this core. Like, if I'm the Celtics,
and I'm saying that 2 years just because Kyrie can opt out.
Yeah, Kyrie can opt out, and Al Horford can opt out.
Yeah.
It's Hayward that has the 3 years and then the opt out. I look at if it's just those 2 years because we don't know if Kyrie will opt out. I look at it as for the Celtics, this year might be a little shaky because the Cavs still have LeBron.
Yeah.
So you still, in my mind, have to give them the edge because they have the greatest player in the NBA. And then it's like 2018.
Debatable.
Well, hold on.
2018, 2019.
I want to preface this by saying that Ricky did put Kevin Durant above LeBron James in a small forward
coming into this year, but that doesn't mean that LeBron James isn't overall the best player in the NBA.
I'm
like I said,
I'm not getting
1A,
into this.
1B.
My mind is in a bottle, man.
Last week I said 1A, 1B. That's how
and
close
LeBron
they
was
are
the
together.
B.
Today he's the A. Like
Whatever.
that's how they flip flop
Today
each
he's
day.
the A. That's all you gotta take away.
They are 2K skill point apart from each other. That is marginal. That's marginal. But
Get on to your
back
point.
to the point. The point is, this year they got to deal with LeBron. Next year, do you think they'll get past the Warriors? I don't. I don't think this Celtic team competes with the Warriors. And who knows after maybe, let's say, just for the sake of argument, losing to, if Kyrie loses to LeBron in the conference finals.
This year?
Yeah. And then gets there, be like, yeah, LeBron, you couldn't even get to the finals. You're with the Lakers, you couldn't get there.
If he goes to the Lakers, could be in the Knicks.
I know. I'm just using the Lakers as a kind of model because he wouldn't. Because I still would pick the Warriors for the finals, and then Kyrie loses to the Warriors in the finals. That to me, I would be sitting there coming into 19-20 season. I'd be like, Kyrie might leave. Kyrie might opt out and say, I'm going to go somewhere else because I can't win here.
that.
But does that mean? But hold on, I don't know if Kyrie's going to opt out because he can't win there. If he can't win there, I don't think he can't win in Cleveland, and he can't win with LeBron James. He just can't win against the Warriors. I don't think anyone can win against the
remember,
Warriors.
in 2 seasons too. Look whose contracts are up for the Warriors.
Clay, Draymond.
Yeah.
Well, looking at
Steph just signed.
Looking at them and that's why I'm
and
using,
KD will be Mr.
And that's why I'm using the next 2 years as because
That's what I'm saying. So if he goes to the championship in 2018, 2019, like you said, or 2018, 2019 is what you're saying. Like the Warriors' contracts are still a mystery too. Nothing is a guarantee.
Even
you can't
with,
declare, a decade of powerhouse from a team because of the way contracts are.
Because Warriors have 3 years on Draymond, and they have 1 year, 2 years left on Clay.
Yeah, 2 years on Clay, and then Durant could opt in for that next year, or he could do what he did this year. Say, you know what, I'm going to opt out and take another.
Guarantee. Like 5 years ago, we're like LeBron James and the Heat are going to rule the East forever.
And I'm just saying, I'm using those 2 years as the barometer because we don't know what could the Warriors could find a way to make it work to keep this core together in that third year. But I mean, I look at it.
They could also add Paul George next year.
Even if they lose Kevin Durant, let's say they lose Kevin Durant and he walks, he's like, okay, 2 finals, or 2 or 3 finals, I'm good. I'm going to go play like in Washington or something just to play at home to end my career. I still look at this Warriors team, even with Steph, Draymond, Clay, and then someone else, I still would pick them as the favorite to win the finals.
Okay, well, let's look.
They won the finals without Durant before. Why can't they do it again?
Because this is a different team. They weren't playing the Celtics team. Let's look at this. So let's say, at least going into this, the Celtics meet up with the Warriors in the finals.
This year.
This year. We'll push off
That's
LeBron.
Some high expectations for a team with such young players.
We'll push off LeBron for right now, and we'll get to what will truly happen in the Eastern Conference Finals. But Ricky's mentioning that LeBron and all this stuff. Looking at the matchup, you have Steph versus Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
We've seen that before. I mean, I would honestly say it's a split. Just because, I mean, I would probably take Steph Curry, which is the reason why he's the number 1 point guard in our rankings. But I don't think it's too far.
But we know
behind.
what to expect from that.
Yeah, and I don't think it's too far behind, and especially with Steph's injury problems. I know Kyrie's also been banged up too, but I would say it's close enough. When you look at the shooting guards, Jaylen Brown and Klay Thompson, I would obviously take Klay Thompson, but then again, Jaylen Brown, he's a good defender, and he doesn't need to be that big of a scorer.
Would Klay though be on Brown, or would he be on Hayward?
He'd be on Kyrie.
Okay.
Yeah,
they put him on
Steph
the best
would be on
player.
Brown.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, at least position-wise.
Yeah, positional-wise.
then at 3 you'd probably have. I mean, we'll say that we'll just go with KD at the 3 instead of going with the
small ball
lineup
line.
of death. KD against Gordon Hayward. Then you have Draymond versus Marcus Morris, and then you have Zaza versus Al Horford. I'll take Al Horford over Zaza, but then again,
But everywhere else, it's, I mean, Warrior. I would take Draymond. I would take Durant. I would take Steph.
Do you think they win it? Do you think it would be a sweep though?
Maybe a gentleman's sweep, maybe 6. But I wouldn't think it would go to 7. I don't think it would go to 7
think it's
at all.
sweep or it's a 1 win for the Celtics. Like,
Do you think that Celtics lineup has a better chance against the Warriors and the Cavs
this
too?
year, no.
No, but just saying, like, not going through each other, but just like Warriors versus Celtics in a 7-game series, Warriors versus Cavs in a 7-game series.
After
Who
this
has a better
trade, I
shot?
think the Cavs have the better chance. I think adding Jay Crowder and the Isaiah swap with Derrick Rose off the bench, like, there's a lot of potential for the Cavs this year, and I think it's just a lot of expectations on Jaylen Brown growing a lot again. Jason Tatum coming in as a rookie and having scoring expectations off the bench.
Yep.
They
Maybe
lost
the
Zizic.
7th man? Because I would probably still put Marcus as their 6th.
Yeah, and then Rozier still, obviously.
Yeah.
But like that second group would, I don't. That's where I get a little afraid because rebounding becomes an issue all over again because they got rid of Zizic, which was going to be their bench rebounder. So I don't know if I really favor the Celtics lineup over the Cavs lineup when it comes to that specific matchup against the Warriors. I think the Warriors matchup, I think the Cavs give them more of a problem. And just,
Well, it also helps when you have LeBron James on your team.
Well, and the thing I like most about what the Cavs got, mainly because of the Kyrie IT swap, is what IT brings. Because let's be honest, both Kyrie and IT not known for their defense.
I like the
We're
1
not
for
gonna
60 no
praise-
trade backs though.
Why?
That's kind of cool. The pick 1 for pick 16.
True.
Yeah, 2011,
Yeah.
Kyrie went 1.
What
IT went 60.
what that brings though is they're both kind of not that great defensively.
Well,
but
that was the reason why
I
Kyrie
like-
was above IT, I think, in Dave and I rankings.
But I
because
like-
He can
of-
at least play defense.
But I
he's
like with
bigger.
IT because last year one of the big problems for the Cavs was great. LeBron's on the floor. Kyrie, you're not like you can run the offense, but you're not running the offense like we want to, and we're getting outscored when LeBron's not out there.
Right.
They now feel, hey, with IT out there, IT can run this offense, and we can give LeBron a break every now and
And
then.
they got Crowder in there for defensive, a huge impact off
Yeah.
LeBron because
So-
he was just dead tired from playing like 46-minute games.
So when we're looking at this, starting lineup for the Cavs now would be IT, JR, Jay Crowder.
Till obviously till Dwayne Wade comes over.
Yeah, till Dwayne Wade
Until the buyout happens.
So IT, JR, then Crowder, LeBron. Like what would this lineup be?
I think it's. I
flip
think
'em,
Tristan
either or.
Thompson still gets time.
And then K-Love.
Caleb at the 4, LeBron at the 3. That's the thing.
And
It's
then
like
Jay Crowder too?
no, Jay wouldn't
Jay
play
Jay would be on the
alongside.
bench? Okay.
He'd be the LeBron pickup man. But they could go to him and go small ball and kick Thompson off the floor when he's ineffective, like he was this past year. Like that's the option it gives them.
But
Or if
Because
LeBron
you
needs
can run,
or if LeBron
well,
needs a break, throw him
yeah.
out there, and you can play defense on who LeBron was
that's
playing.
the point. Is he's either the defensive replacement for LeBron, or if you go smaller because Tristan Thompson's been less effective for you, so you run Caleb at the 5.
Or what if you do K-Love off the bench then?
See,
Would you put K-Love on the bench and then run with Thompson?
2 years ago I would
LeBron?
have. 2 years ago I would have, but Caleb, honestly, I think that, and I don't want to get too much into Caleb, but like I think that his impact over Tristan Thompson's impact last year, there's a noticeable difference the way that team runs when one's on the floor versus the other.
Well, you're going to get spacing, and Jay Crowder, I mean, hasn't been known as a super
He's
efficient.
a 3 and D,
He hasn't been, but he's not super efficient from 3.
%.
He wasn't 40
Ish.
last year.
Ish.
I mean, if you're being very generous on your roundup,
We round
I'm
hard.
pretty sure Jay was like 33% last year from 3, if I remember correctly. I don't have the stats pulled up in front of me. But I feel like in those crunch time
39%.
Oh, okay. Then I was just wrong. But at least with Crowder, I just feel like he's probably going to be in there at crunch times because he does bring a lot of defense to him. I mean, I would feel like IT is going to be out there for sure.
His playoff 3 ball is shit. That's what you're thinking of. It was
Okay.
35%.
All right. Well, anyways, with Jay Crowder, I still feel like he's going to be playing though. I like last year was 33%. That's what I was thinking of. But I feel like in crunch time though, Jay's going to be in there just because of his defense.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why they go small because I think Tristan Thompson is honestly he was overpaid. He's overvalued by a lot
Well,
of people.
LeBron wanted him.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Well, LeBron wanted to reward him for his loyalty, pretty much. Like, yeah, you stuck it out with me. We got a ring. Great. I just think that he's not worth it, and him on the floor holds them up, both in their style of play because and even the weird reverse aging LeBron, like when they play quick, they play well, and that's exactly what the Warriors match with. And then you end up with the running back and forth. Tristan Thompson's just a liability at that point because that leads to wide open Draymond threes. We watched it happen. Like it's not a good matchup for them to have Tristan Thompson on the floor against that Warriors team.
I want to propose a question here because this is something that I thought as well. With the Celtics, just overall with the trade, do you look at what they gave up now and look back to all the rumors and all the stuff we talked about, all the news about them maybe getting like Jimmy Butler, this and that, and I look back to a time where before the 2017 draft, the Bulls offered Jimmy Butler for the 3rd pick, just straight up, and Boston said no.
I like this trade better.
If I'm Boston and I take, like, if I look at this trade, I kind of feel like I would go, you know what? Give me the Jimmy trade. Because all I'm losing is, well, in hindsight's 2020, all I'm losing is Jason Tatum, and I get to keep IT as my point,
who's 30 years,
who's going
to be 29 years old and on an expiring contract, and you have to sign him for 5 years.
But I'm just talking about for
with the hip injury.
Overall, IT, they loved IT in Boston.
Yeah, IT's great when he's healthy, but he's not going to be that great for that
At
long.
the point, you get Jimmy Butler now he kind of takes away for Gordon Hayward because I don't think you sign Gordon Hayward, but just because of what they gave up, I'm like, the pick with Jay Crowder was going to go because he hated
the whole point
Hayward
is that they knew they were getting Hayward. So why give up anything for a redundant player?
And then also with that, Jimmy's older. Kyrie's 25.
Yep.
And Kyrie plays the most.
Jimmy gives you offense and defense. Kyrie just gives you.
That's the thing.
Offense.
I think that Brad Stevens honestly just values offense. He values scoring.
One thing that Danny Ainge has said, and I forget where I saw this. I think some guy sat down with Danny Ainge and had lunch with him or something. It was on Reddit. He said that Danny Ainge wants to go 100% shooters. He wants to go 100% shooters and scorers. So I mean, Jimmy, he brings that defense. But there's a reason, and the only reason why they're keeping around Marcus Smart is because he's so valuable defensively, but he's off the bench. He wants to start these guys who can shoot and score. I feel like Kyrie, being 25 years old, being the dynamic scorer that he is, and doing what he did behind LeBron, I mean, he wasn't able to control the ball and control the offense in the way that suited him best. He did a great job, and it's not like working with LeBron is a terrible thing. LeBron's going to set you up nicely, but I just feel like for this, I feel like Kyrie was the best option for them because, again, you have to take in that IT situation. He's going to be 29 years old after the season ends. You're going to have to sign him to a max contract for 5 years. He was totally worth that contract, too, because of what he did for you, and not only for you on the court, but he was just great for Boston in general. Yeah. So you can't lowball him because then you're going to look like assholes, but you can trade him and upgrade your team. Well,
they're getting some backlash about loyalty, but
but I mean, again, it's the NBA and it's a business. And
exactly, that's the thing. Like players can be like, "Yeah, deuces, I'm leaving. More money to other city."
Everyone, including me, is like, "KD, screw you."
Yeah.
But when Danny Ainge trades a guy who played 2 days after his sister died and totally put this team on his back, they trade him. He's like, "Well, we got Kyrie." I mean, like it's different, but I just it's totally hypocritical, and I play into it, but still. I just feel like this is an upgrade for them. That Nets pick, we don't know exactly where it's going to be.
Right.
I think it's a win for the Cavs because you get Zizic, you get the cap relief. If Isaiah goes and LeBron goes, you still get that Nets pick. And Jay Crowder's still locked up for 2 years after this.
Yep. Solid contract.
So I mean, those 3 players are those 3 assets are nice there. And I think it's beneficial for the Cavs. But even with Kyrie as a player, I feel like Kyrie, at least for Boston, is a great fit because he's got that attitude to be a superstar. He's got that attitude to take the last shot, and he's got that attitude of wanting it. And I feel like that really works well with Boston. Because
is Brad Stevens going to be the first coach he works with, though? Like, works with, and it's like, wow, that's a good relationship. Because, like, the 2 that I bring up, Byron Scott was kind of like a tank commander. But, like, Mike Brown, we've heard things in the past. Yeah, but we've heard things in the past where Kyrie didn't take coaching well from Mike Brown.
Because Mike Brown's a bum.
And then we also heard this like one of the big reasons why whenever you hear like on these interviews, like they ask Chris Mannix, like, did you think that this would have been done before? And he goes, yeah, you're not bringing Kyrie into camp because of what was said about LeBron, but more importantly about Ty Lue. Is Brad Stevens going to be then the first coach that Kyrie kind of works with?
Brad Stevens is one of the best coaches
in
the
NBA. I'm not questioning
so I
Brad
feel like
Stevens.
I think it's
I'm
similar
questioning
to
Kyrie.
I think it's similar to like when KD went to the Warriors and was like, "Oh, this is how basketball's supposed to be played."
Yeah,
you have that moment.
But
where,
is Kyrie
because you've been in the system
is he going
your
to have
entire
that
time,
moment though?
I think he is.
Yeah.
I honestly think
he
it's,
bought
I
into
don't think
Duke.
so.
It's
bought into Coach
partially
K.
respect and it's partially understanding, what you're around and what you can work with. Because as soon as LeBron came back to town, it was okay. This is LeBron's show. I'm his second man.
I think that's the thing is he wanted to be seen as equal to LeBron.
Yeah.
And he did not feel that way because LeBron was pretty much the coach
and that's
out
how
there.
you ran the offense.
And
that's exactly. He was the
LeBron-
coach. He was the GM. He was everything. to
LeBron
the team.
ran the fucking show. And Kyrie thought he was an equal, and Kyrie thought he wanted to be treated as equal. I think Brad Stevens is going to treat everybody as an equal, or he might even give preferential treatment to Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving because they're getting paid like that, and I think that they might get some preferential treatment, but I don't think too much.
Yeah.
But still, I think that Kyrie just wanted to be equal instead of playing under the shadow that is LeBron James. And I mean, we talk about it all the time. I mean, Kyrie hit the game-winning shot, but it was LeBron's title.
Yeah.
I mean, it's LeBron's team. LeBron's the coach, GM. He runs the city. He's the mayor of
It's
Cleveland.
gonna make that series awesome, though. I hope they match up in the Eastern
And
Conference
let's-
Finals.
let's- we
if
gotta-
I'm not
we gotta wrap
mistaken,
this up.
they
We
open
gotta-
up the season against each other.
They do, and we'll get into we got to wrap this up though because we're hitting that 29-59. So when they meet in the playoffs, because they're going to meet in the Eastern Conference Finals, because the Eastern Conference is a fucking joke. When we look at this, Kyrie versus IT and all of this starting lineups, who is the favorite to win the Eastern Conference Finals? The Cavs or the Boston Celtics?
Just this year?
This year.
Cavs.
Yeah, this year I am still leaning
Well,
Cavs.
next year the Cavs might not make it.
Exactly. That's why I'm like, this year on paper, unless Derrick Rose's knees both implode
Which they will.
and the hip of Isaiah Thomas goes down again, like, honestly, on paper, again, I think the Cavs have it this year because they have two great guards. They're going to get Dwayne Wade at the midseason, well rested.
Possibly.
Well rested.
Possibly.
I just think that they're the better team right now. I think that we're gonna watch Jason Tatum come out be crazy, but there's a lot of high expectations on young players.
Does it go past 6?
I want to go 7.
5
so
or
badly.
6 Cavs.
All right.
It'll go at least
It's probably
6.
6.
I'll go Cavs just because I can't go against LeBron. It's kind of like
Yeah.
after Conor McGregor knocks out Floyd, I can't go against
Unless it's the Warriors.
Conor.
Unless it's Warriors LeBron, then you can go against LeBron.
Well, I'm still going to pick the Cavs. Anyways, that was a joke, by the way. Connor's going to get smoked. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. Also, how much are you worrying about the IT thing? That was the other thing. The IT hip,
Not at all.
Hip injury.
Not at
You're
all.
not worrying about a 29-year-old with a hip injury.
I mean,
That was pretty serious, and he played
Yeah,
a lot on. I mean, this could be similar to Chapman, where the Cubs overused him.
Dave brought up, it's not like they have no one behind. Yes, injury problems in his own right.
played
but
pretty well, though,
They've
last
got
year.
Derrick Rose.
D-Wade's
backup.
going back to number 1. Though. So Cavs made it official. He's going back to the number 1. Anyways, well, let's jump into our controversial power forward rankings. And we're going to start off with number 30, JaMychal Green of the Memphis Grizzlies. And we got to put a little disclaimer here because technically JaMychal Green has not signed with the Grizzlies, and we wanted to just put up a PNG of the Grizzlies
fake
logo
news.
for here.
Fake news.
However, there is really no power forward besides JaMychal Green for the Memphis Grizzlies, and he is a restricted free agent, I'm pretty sure. So most likely he will be staying with the Memphis Grizzlies. So JaMychal Green is number 30, but he's not even that great, so he's going to stay at number 30. Number 29, we got Patrick Peterson, new... Patrick Peter. Why do I keep saying Peterson? Patrick
this guy.
Patterson.
Because of football.
Former Kentucky alum. I know who Patrick Patterson is. Former Raptor as well. Now on the OKC Thunder, coming in at 29. 28, we got Bobby Portis of the Chicago Bulls. We weren't sure if Portis was going to start, but we put him in there anyways. 27, we got Ersan Ilyasova of the Atlanta Hawks. Number 26, our boy Thon Maker from the Milwaukee Bucks. We put him there because Jabari is most likely out till February, so at least he's going to be starting for a good chunk of the season. So Thon Maker is there at 26. At number 25, we got James Johnson of the Miami Heat. Of number 24, we got Marquise Chris, the sophomore from the Phoenix Suns. Number 23, we got John Lure of the Detroit Pistons. And number 22, we got Marvin Williams of the Charlotte Hornets. And rounding out the top 10, or the bottom 10, we got Al-Farouq Amino of the Portland Trailblazers. Again, another ranking and another 10 that I totally butchered. But let's go
Counting
through
to
it.
10 is hard.
One of these
It
days,
is.
you'll get the numbers right.
I think I gotta zoom in on this, but let's
of these
jump in.
days you'll get it right.
There's a couple things that we want to mention first. Obviously, I touched on it a little bit. JaMychal Green isn't truly a Grizzly yet, but we put him there.
I mean, it could be you guys.
It could be
Any
you.
one of you could be the
If
starting
you
power
guys-
forward.
you guys want to go try out for the Grizzlies, go ahead.
I mean, we don't want to be promoting no hashtag fake news, Sean. We don't want to be doing that.
We don't know who it is.
You just didn't want to put Grizzlies.
Yeah, I didn't want to put Grizzlies. So JaMychal Green, and I checked on the Grizzlies subreddit. They said JaMychal Green most likely is going to come back. So thank you to them. Thon Maker, again, Jabari Parker is going to be the starter at some point, but he's out until February, so he's going to miss most of the season. So we're going to put in our boy Thon in.
And he just missed the Zach LaVine rule.
And then John Lure as well. He's starting for the Pistons. It should be Tobias Harris. However, we put Tobias Harris at the small forward position.
It's arguable because people think Stanley Johnson should start. I think he's still trash. So the argument is there.
He is 21 years old and plays decent defense.
He started one game, okay?
But why do you think
I said he's 21 years old. I didn't say anything about starting, Dave. Don't be a YouTube commenter.
Devin Booker much. Like, doesn't matter how old you are. You can be a starter.
Get out of here.
I'm just saying.
Anyways, Stanley Johnson most likely, it was resounding by Pistons fans that Stanley Johnson is most likely going to be starting.
You think fans are going to be happy about, one of the young prospects probably start? Yeah, of course they're going to say yeah.
Anyways, most people think that Stanley Johnson should be the starting small forward and that Tobias Harris should be here. However, John Lure is here. But let's jump into it. At least the first guy I want to talk about is Marquise Chriss from the Phoenix Suns. I had him, I think, the lowest out of all of us. I had him at 26. You guys, Ricky had him at 25, and then Dave had him at 22. So, Dave, why are you so high on Marquise Chriss?
Did you watch him last year? Dude was amazing.
Did you even watch him?
He had a really nice highlight reel, but he was not efficient. He's very
His basketball
young. He's
IQ
very
is not
raw.
great. I'll give you that.
He's raw.
But he's got potential. He can jump out the gym.
Oh, but I can't put
things.
Devin Booker at 10 because he's super efficient one-manning that fucking Suns team. Jesus Christ.
Plays one side of the ball. That's all I'm saying. No. Let's not get down this.
Go.
Look, Marquise Chriss, young, excellent player. Like you said, super athletic. Basketball IQ is lacking, though. He definitely has a lot of room to improve there. His shot had started to come along a little bit, but his money is all coming from his work, in the probably like 3 to 10 range. Like that's where he's going to make his money. And defensively, he has a good presence. Honestly, it's just offensively, he can get lost at times. He doesn't come off screens the best. But again, for his age, his position, and what they're asking him to do, I expect him to make another solid jump. And that I understand that he got a lot more playing time than I expected last year because Dragan Bender's injury. Dragan Bender, one of my favorite guys, but I honestly expect him to make a jump coming into this year as well.
I mean, he wasn't bad last year. At least, 44% from the field. He shot 32% from three. I mean, you don't expect him to be that great from three, but still, 32% for a rookie isn't bad, especially a guy who was trying to find a shot, and that was really a knock on him early on coming into the NBA. Putting up 9.2 points per game. He's got to really reel back his basketball IQ, like you said. He got in foul trouble a lot and really needs to reel that back. Yeah. However, the one thing I want to talk about is, at least defensively, playing again next to Tyson Chandler. I mean, that's a good guy to learn from.
That's a phenomenal down low punch.
So I just want to say that Marquise Chriss, I don't expect too much from him because this Phoenix team is going to be pretty bad. I mean, they're very young.
Yeah, it's going to be watching college basketball again, which I love.
Yeah, but they're going to get smoked. And
Tyler Ulis, Dev Booker, Josh Jackson, Marquise Chriss, and then old man Tyson Chandler.
Or Dragan Bender.
Or Dragan Bender if they go full youth.
But I just think that he's not going to have that great of a year. I don't think he's going to add that much. I feel like there's guys above him that I'd rather have on my team. Maybe if Marquise Chriss was playing on a different team where his role was different, I'd like him better, but he's going to be relied on a lot, and I don't think he's going to thrive, at least there. I still think he has a lot of potential. I don't think taking away from that, I don't think he's going to struggle too much, but I just feel like he's going to at least struggle a lot just because there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to at least
it's a bad team.
To add on. It's a really bad team.
That's why I think there's very little pressure.
So, I mean, 24,
They literally benched like 3 starters last year for the last 20 games.
But they started like a 19-year-old roster. I think that was the average. But looking at Chriss, I just feel like he's a little too high. Another guy that I feel like might be too low, because, again, it's very similar, is Bobby Portis. And, Ricky, I know you're a resident Bulls fan. We got to give a shout-out to Bridget Johnson.
Repping them Bulls.
Because she wanted a shout-out. So we're giving a shout-out to other Bulls fan, Bridget Johnson. But at least with Bobby Portis, another guy who's raw, different than Marquise Chriss because very young, much younger than Marquise Chriss.
I have confidence in Bobby, though.
But talk about that. Why do you have confidence in Bobby taking over for Nico?
Our biggest thing when we were discussing was because you wanted to put Laurie there. And, I mean, originally I'm like, well, yeah, we could put Laurie there, but, I mean, I'd rather have Bobby out there.
Well, we needed you.
The guy that we know.
We wanted to put a rookie in there so you could overrate him.
Yeah,
We
no,
got
so I
Lloyd
could put him
Markkanen
top 10.
Top 10.
So I could put him top 10.
Yeah.
Go Bulls. Only the Bulls. But I mean, the only thing that, like, with Bobby is I feel like he should be better than he is. Because of where
totally.
we, like, the hype that we had. Not like at 22, you don't have, like, as much hype as, like, a top 5. But we've very confident in Bobby. And when I say we, I mean the people who drafted him were very high on Bobby
You didn't
Portis
draft
coming
him.
in. That's exactly.
He was part of the table, man.
I wasn't saying I was
That's
a
why
part
the
of
Bulls
it.
suck so much. Is because tinfoil Ricky's there.
No, I was saying that when we drafted Bobby, I was like, let's see how this goes, and I expected him to progress a little bit better to this point.
He did take a step up. I mean, going from 42% from the field. I mean, he played less minutes.
His percentage got better. He did start a few more games. I did like the flashes.
He was
though.
around the middle. He was around middle of the pack, at least when it comes to per.
And the thing I liked best was the 3-point game, because especially at the 4, with how we see stretch fours, we know Fred Hoiberg, much like Boston, he really likes shooters in his offense. Seeing although it was just up to 33%, with the uptick in threes and the better percentage, I want to see more of that.
Well, and I think another thing that Bobby Portis, people got to mention, is that he had really nice playoffs. I mean, he was efficient from the field. He was grabbing boards, which wasn't hard to do when you're
He
playing
also
against the
had
Celtics.
phenomenal Rondo, kind of just
Yeah,
feeding him.
I'd say game 1.
Feeding him.
Honestly, outside of that, he wasn't good.
Right.
He had 19 points and 9 boards in game 1.
Well, what I was saying, I was just trying to make a joke because he was grabbing 6 boards a game in the postseason just because he was playing against
He was.
the Celtics.
Yeah, I'd say you get free rebounds there. But I mean, Bobby Portis is still the same guy he was his rookie year. Wildly inconsistent and honestly doesn't deserve to be a starter. Just flat out honesty.
Well, who would you rather have starting then if you're the Bulls?
I would. The
Do you
problem
want
is,
Laurie there?
I almost want to say just finish re-signing Nico. Like,
Really?
Between Nico and Bobby, like superpowers unite, they can make a whole starting power forward
Especially
in
if
the
it's
NBA.
April.
You can't start both of them at the same time. Though.
Especially,
No, you can't.
especially Nico in April.
Nico-
you get him
well,
rolling with
that's-
the April
I was
showers
gonna say, like,
from 3.
From mid-February on, like Bobby Portis was putting up like 10.5 and 6.5 on like almost 50% from the field, and still 31% from 3. Like, that's good numbers. But again, that's when he activates. Like, he knows when the end of the season's coming, and then he starts to play with talent.
Yeah.
Up to that point in the season, he is just incredibly frustrating to watch, and that was the same thing with Nico. They trade off. Like, one of them looks like an NBA player, one of them doesn't, and then they'll just trade back and forth.
Well,
back and
Nico
forth.
has flashes of a fantastic stretch 4.
I mean, he just can't ever take the pick and roll game.
No,
Anytime,
he's weak.
Yeah,
He's a
anytime
weak guy where
teams see
Bobby
that
Portis
on
is
him, and
literally
they're
just lean, mean fighting machine.
right.
So, I mean, they have a nice mix. Like you said, if you combine them together, you got a starting power forward. But,
Absolutely.
But I don't think any of their games are going to progress.
I think
that's the
Laurie
reason
is
why.
the guy he's the betweener. Like, he's got a phenomenal
But do
outside
you want
shot.
to start him?
I almost want to, because I completely undervalue Bobby Portis probably for Bulls fans. Like, I am a Bulls fan, and I'm even saying, like, I don't want him to start. But we're a bad team. We should continue tanking. We should go for that number 1 pick. I would put Markkanen in.
Ricky, do you agree with that?
I mean, with me, the way I look at it is I want starting the season, Bobby as the power forward to start, but eventually I want Laurie to take over that spot.
And if they-
There's a reason we
you have to
drafted
find
him.
out. The problem is you have to find out what Bobby's value is. Is he worth re-signing? That's the question. It's like, is he worth our money again? Are we going to let him walk? Are we going to trade him? What are we doing with his future? They have to decide now so they don't end up in another situation where they're stuck in a shitty contract.
And with Mirotic, if they re-sign him, should he start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So,
mean, that one just is a closed book for me.
at least one thing I want to mention with these guys is, out of all these guys, do you think any of these players can really take a step up? Like, do you think that Al-Farouq Amino is going to jump into the top 20?
The one
John
guy-
Moore is going to step into the top 20.
The one guy I want to mention, and the reason why I'm mentioning him is I was doing the math, redoing myself. I fucked up a little bit. James Johnson is 23. Lure and Chris were supposed to be knocked down 1.
Okay.
So instead of Lure, Chris,
Well, thanks, Ricky. Now I look like
Johnson,
an idiot.
Johnson,
Quality
or Chris.
math.
No, I'm the idiot. I can't do math. But Johnson's the guy that is the answer to my question there, or the answer to your question there, because he's a guy we were talking about before we hit record, where it's like, wow, he started only 5 games for the Heat last
played
season.
27 minutes.
But it's like, damn, he played most of the game, played 27 minutes. He's the starter at power forward for the Heat. So I expect it to be I mean,
But do you expect growth out of a 30-year-old power forward?
I'm not saying growth. I'm just saying enough to, like, because he's at 23. I could see him having a good season and being in the top 20, even if that's 20 or 19 next season.
This was his best season in the NBA, so...
I mean, hey,
But maybe
could
it was
drop
the right-
off, could go up.
I mean, maybe the Heat was just the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
And we
true.
really didn't see them take off until the second half of the season. So if we get a full season of what Miami brought, and Waiters County was there.
Hey,
Until
Waiters
next-
and T. Ross.
Until next season. That's going back to Wade County.
Ross.
Terrence Ross.
He's
I'm
on the
sorry,
Magic.
My bad.
Jackass.
My bad. Completely wrong.
But with that, I just maybe James Johnson can take a step up because with the second half that we saw from Miami, maybe they can take a step up. The guy that I want to bring up, and it's not a joke, is Thon Maker. Because Thon Maker is going to get a
The
chance to
shot
start.
taker, as Dave likes to say.
Thon Maker, the guy who had
Shot
10
taker.
fouls in a fucking summer league game.
That was
the
awesome.
shot taker, the guy who was pretty decent this year, who shut our mouths.
I don't know about shut our mouths.
We gave him way too much crap.
we gave him a lot.
But
was
at least
deserving.
with Thon Maker,
Yep.
I mean, he does have the chance to start. I don't think he's going to take over that starting job
No,
over
once
Jabari,
Jabari's
without a
healthy,
doubt.
he's back.
I think Jabari, we had him probably in our top 10 or near our top 10 if
Yep.
he was healthy.
Yeah.
But we made the decision to pull him. So at least with Thon
Don just
Maker,
moves over to the 5 then, because
How-
Greg Monroe's slow.
how much do you take in the fact that Thon Maker might be decent this year? Does he have a chance to be decent at starting?
He does. He's got a lot of time. I mean, the big concern is, how's the ball going to move in that offense? What is there?
Giannis.
That's the problem. Is it's Giannis, so Giannis is the center of their offense. We get that.
What's the one fact you like to bring up about Giannis?
His team's worse with him on the court.
Or it's better with him off the court, too. which
Same
is the opposite.
difference.
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
No,
I mean,
I know what I said.
I get that, but killing me over here.
That's like saying it's dark when the light switch is off.
I was expecting him, like me and Dave know each other, like with the mind meld, I was expecting him to say what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I was
That's like-
expecting it.
What?
Because the way I said it was how I was thinking it in my head. I
God,
didn't
this is
expect
a
him to
rough
say the other way.
podcast.
Thon Maker going to be decent. He'll have statistically a better year than last year because he will get way more minutes just because of Jabari being out.
only 9 minutes last year. He played 19 minutes in the postseason. Shot
Yeah.
38% of the field. Was not efficient at all from during the postseason. But again, he wasn't playing that
No,
many
but
minutes.
he's
this
out
year.
there for defense. Like he's a defensive energy guy right now. Obviously, as a young kid, he was known for a score because he was physically just a monster compared to high schoolers. So obviously the transition to the NBA when you still weigh like 200 pounds, you're 7'1". Like I'm sorry, 216 and you're 7'1". Like that's ridiculous. You're nothing. You need to put on that body mass. You need to get into basketball shape, and that happens year 2, year 3. So I think he will grow into his body, and he weirdly could get taller.
And I don't think he's going to get taller, but I mean, one thing, if you do extrapolate
It's only 19.
If you extrapolate his,
20, I'm sorry, he's only 20.
If you extrapolate his minutes to 36, which I mean, he's not going to play 36 minutes, but still a guy that's shooting 49%, or 45% from the field, 37% from 3, grabbing 7 boards, and blocking 1.7 shots per game and putting up 15 points. I mean, that's a really fucking good power forward.
It's pretty decent.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen because, I mean, obviously he's getting less minutes, playing against starters. Do you think he's going to get bullied by bigger... I mean, when he's
problem
going
is
up against a
the
guy
NBA
like Derek Favors.
Yeah, there's like 4 Derek Favors in the NBA though. Like that's it.
Zach Randolph is one of them.
Yeah. So
The
we got,
Morris brothers. He's going to have to face those.
traditional power forwards are fading. Let's just
Yeah.
leave it at that. So I don't think it'll be that much of a problem for him night in, night out. I think that he's gonna be fairly successful, and again because he's that he's a 5 playing as a 4 because of the injury. And honestly, I expect him to do quality. I think he can put up 8 points a game and 4 boards. I really do. I think that's probably his role. And I just defensively, he's got the knack. He just needs to quit making stupid fouls.
Him and Marquise Chris have a similar problem.
Yes, and it's a young player's game. They're overly aggressive at times. They just cool it, and I think that's where he's at.
Is there anyone we want to mention left in this 30 through 21 range? Or, I mean, pretty much all of these guys. I mean, you look at...
Ersan Ilyasova, I love the chucker.
He's a 6 man, though.
he's
And not even 6 man. He's like an 8th man.
He's a chucker.
He's bad.
I like the chuckers.
But, like Ersan, I mean, Ersan isn't making any news. And if
he could get traded again.
Yeah, I mean, he played on 3 different teams last year. I mean, I just feel like Ersan, I mean, he shouldn't be starting, but there's not that many players in the Hawks, so he's starting. Like Bobby Portis, we're not even sure if he should be here. Patrick Patterson, I had to ask fucking the Thunder's subreddit, and they were like, well, Pat Patterson, he brings a lot of energy. He could be a decent three-point shooter. He's the best we have. I mean, Dougie's a great three-point shooter, but he's a stick out there. Same with Jeremy Grant, so it's not like Jeremy's going to start there. JaMychal Green isn't even on a fucking team. I mean, like, this is a pretty lackluster.
It's true. The bottom end kind of falls out.
It does.
I mean, Al-Farouq Amino, though, he's quality.
He's good on defense.
Good defensively.
He's a fifth option on offense. He's not making any noise.
He's not going to jump up anyone's
And
rankings.
he's not like a Jay Crowder where he's going to be like a 3-and-D player.
Yeah.
Like Al-Farouq Amino, you know what you're getting from Al-Farouq Amino. So, I mean, like, this is a pretty shitty, like, these are pretty shitty 9 players, 10 players, right?
Not the best 9 that we've
Obviously,
talked about
the
these
fact
rankings.
that they're at the bottom of our Power 4 rankings is,
All right. But anyways, let's jump in now to the 20 through 11 section of the Power 4 rankings. Starting off, we have number 20 of the Brooklyn Nets, Trevor Booker. Number 19, we have Ryan Anderson of the Houston Rockets. Mr. 40% from 3. We got number 18, Thaddeus Young of the Indiana Pacers. Then at 17, we got Derek Favors of the Utah Jazz. Number 16, we have Dario Saric, who really shouldn't be here, of the Philadelphia 76ers. Julius Randle of the Los Angeles Lakers at 15, to Dave's dismay. Number 14, we got Taj Gibson, the newest Minnesota Timberwolf. At number 13, we got Aaron Gordon, who started off last year as small forward, which was a huge mistake by the Orlando Magic. Shocker, the Magic made a mistake at number 13. Number 12, we got Mr. Felony himself, Zach Randolph of the Kings. And rounding out the top 20 through 11, we have Marcus Morris now of the Boston Celtics. So let's jump in. We got to clear some stuff up. Dario Saric is here. Most likely going to be the sixth man of Philadelphia. Probably not even going to start. Ben Simmons most likely going to be the starting power forward for the 76ers. Rocco going to be the starting small forward. We messed that up. So, again, we apologize. And then also, Zach Randolph, like I mentioned, got arrested for having 2 pounds, I believe, of marijuana on his possession.
There's something. He was over the limit. They charged him with this.
But it wasn't like a little.
I like how Sean says
a lot
2
over.
pounds, and Dave goes, I don't know about these numbers you're speaking.
It's a little foggy in my memory. He was over the legal limit for what you can have on you underneath a felony.
2 pounds of pot. He had 2 pounds of pot.
I
So
mean,
he has a
Take that for data, Dave.
he had
there's
2 pounds left when they got there.
Yeah.
It was a block party.
Zach Randolph got arrested. That's all we're saying. Zach Randolph got arrested.
It's the NBA. They don't care about weed.
But the law does.
If he gets arrested,
He's going to get that turned down to a misdemeanor.
If he is found guilty, I believe he gets suspended for 10 games.
Ooh,
Just
10
saying.
games.
Just saying. Zach
NBA doesn't care about weed.
I'm not saying they do. I'm just saying that Zach Randolph got arrested for a felony, Dave.
I
You
know.
can't argue the fact that Zach Randolph got arrested for having 2 pounds of pot in his possession. I just want to throw it out there that Zach Randolph might not be starting for the Sacramento Kings, which I think is fair to say because he got arrested for a felony.
I mean, if we're giving people until January to play, I think he's counted as a starter. He's not going to miss half the season.
All right. Anyways, Zach Randolph is there at 12 for the Sacramento Kings. But looking at this, looking at all these players, I mean, Ryan Anderson serves a very true purpose. I mean, shot 40% from 3 on the
volume.
7 a game for the Rockets, the team with the most threes in NBA history. I mean, Ryan Anderson isn't going to move the needle defensively. He isn't going to add much. But these guys, at least from Ryan Anderson to, I'd probably say Thaddeus Young and Trevor Booker, they have a role on their team, but they're not going to really surpass that role. Am I wrong in saying that?
I mean, Ryan Anderson was a guy. Maybe this was in my head. I'm thinking, I'm not too high on Ryan Anderson. I had him at 23, and part of me is like, I don't want him too high in my rankings, but I feel like a part of it is a little bit of that bias of like, he was on the trade block. But then
and no one
part
wanted
of
him.
it,
Well, that's 'cause his contract.
but also nobody wanted him, and the contract
nobody wanted
was
his
part
contract.
of that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm
That's
saying. There was
entirety.
that little bias in there of on the trade block that maybe
Well,
in my
if you have
mind
the
bumped
option
him
of
down.
getting Carmelo Anthony and
Oh,
getting
no.
rid of Ryan Anderson,
Oh, no,
you're
I
going to
know.
push that button 10 out of 10.
I know.
times.
That's why I
Especially
said
if
a
it's
little bit
mellow,
of that bias.
Olympic mellow?
Hoodie Mello?
Hoodie mellow.
No, I think Ryan Anderson pretty much stayed the same for me. I had him at 13 last year. I had him at 14 this year. Obviously, you guys have him a little lower valued, but I just think role to team fit. Like you said, he is one of the best guys they could have at that position on the Rockets. Honestly, I like him more than like guys like Derek Favors, who obviously had a bad last year due to injury. And I don't see him coming back and playing well alongside Gobert in his new role.
Why don't you see that happening? Because Rudy Gobert isn't known as a needle mover on offense.
No,
and
obviously
they
not.
played together before last year and the year prior.
Right. I just don't
next to each
think.
other.
I think the way the team has changed, I don't see them fitting great together. It's just spacing's not going to be amazing down low. And honestly, I don't like Favors. I don't think he is a quality player. And this comes from, don't even bring up last year because I overrated him so much last year.
But yeah, you put him at 5, and he got injured and was banged up.
Last year, to be fair, I did not watch as much basketball as I did this year. And I will look purely at stats, and I was like, 16 points, like 8 boards? This guy's going to be great.
And he shoots over 50% a year.
Yep.
I mean, like, when he is healthy.
But he's not the guy you ride.
He's a dynamic.
Dynamic is too strong of a word.
Come on. Too strong. You can't shoot 50% from the field and put up 16 points per game.
Dynamic is top 10.
We had him top 10 last year.
This year.
We had him top 10 last year. And he was injured.
Where'd you put him this year?
I put him at 13.
That's right. Not top 10. Not dynamic.
Because he's injured. I don't know how much that's going to be lingering.
And that's the same here.
I don't know. I feel like Derek Favors, when healthy,
year.
can be a dynamic post scorer. That's all I'm saying. Because he's proven it before. He was one before, and I think that he can do that again. And that's the reason why.
So they're going to be the team that wins through the block? Maybe the first team in the last 10 years?
I'm not saying he's going to be their number one scorer or the number one scoring option, but I feel like.
Who else are going to run that offense through?
Ricky Rubio.
Rodney Hood.
That was. Thank you.
Rodney Hood.
You're right, Rodney Hood, but then the Ricky Rubio line just killed it. Like,
I think you meant that
this
seriously.
is a team that's going to average like 80 points a game. Like,
but they also
they
hold
might
him to
win
like 60.
some.
They might hold him to like 60 points.
Yeah, they might win with those. But.
Okay, you're ready to put Jumpin' Joe Ingles in the top 20 of small forwards, but I can't put fucking Derek Favors, who's actually been an all-star before, I'm pretty sure, in the top 15.
Waiver and all?
I don't know if he was actually an all-star, but anyways, I feel like these guys, I mean, you have players that can really bounce up and like back and forth. I mean, like there's some guys with potential here: Julius Randle, Aaron Gordon, Dario, obviously. Like those guys have potential, but like other than that, like Marcus Morris, we know what we're getting out of Marcus
Morris. It's a proven
Morris.
product, you know.
Zach Randolph, we know that he's getting older, and when he was at the top of his game, he was a dynamic post scorer, and he's a guy that brings so much grit to a team. Yeah. But outside of that,
now
he's getting older.
Solid in limited minutes. He's 35, 36, but still plays pretty well in as long as you keep his minutes to a fair amount, which he can because he's on a bad team now.
Yeah, and also they have a lot down there.
They've got a lot of depth.
I mean, you have Papagiannis, you have Scale, you have a lot of players down there that can play for the Kings. So, I mean, at least with this, I mean, there's guys that can definitely jump. And out of the guys, you know, Aaron Gordon, Al-Farouq, Julius Randle, and there, Dario Saric, which guy can jump to the top 10?
You know, I think I'd just rule out Dario instantly because he's going to be a 6-man, 7-man.
But, I mean, we've seen how important like a guy like Andre Iguodala is. I mean, like Andre Iguodala at his peak, what he provides for the Warriors, if we're just ranking small forwards, Andre, it could have been like really high up there in the small forward rankings.
Fair. I think I have. You got me in a rough place here because you got me between a Magic player and Julius Randle, both which I hate. That's a toughie.
But Aaron Gordon might be.
Aaron Gordon at the 4.
The best Magic player.
Yeah, I say Aaron Gordon at the 4. We got to specify the 4 because Magic fans get confused on where he actually plays. Maybe the coach just does. I think he's the guy who I have peaked with the most potential out of this group. Honestly, though, it's close between him and Julius Randle because they both have continued to grow. But the big question for me, Randle obviously is with him on the court. His handle is awful. Like the ball in his hands, they want him to be basically Draymond Green Jr. He's not. He has nowhere near the ability to, be a point forward as Draymond does. His shot's not quite the same.
No.
He's great on the boards, though. I'll give him that.
He's fantastic attacking.
Yeah.
I mean, he's fantastic attacking the boards. And I would say defensively, too. He's got the tools and the athleticism and the size.
He's got the weird arms,
to at least
though,
to be there.
His arms are actually shorter than, for his body.
Yeah, that's true. He doesn't have
got T-Rex arms.
He wouldn't be on the Bucks, is what we're saying. But I just feel like Randle maybe in that position, and Ricky, I know you're a huge Lonzo lover, so you should jump in on this.
Could Lonzo Ball help Randle get to the top 10?
I think Lonzo's going to help the entire team.
Okay.
Like the entire team.
Randle's on power forwards right now.
The entire team's going to get better, but with Randle, I wonder if it's going to be Lonzo directly helping Randle's game, or is it just going to be, Lonzo Ball on that team, the whole team got better.
Well, I mean, think about this.
Just
You got Brooke Lopez spacing out the floor for him on offense, so he would be like the sole guy down low.
Because to me, the guy that Lonzo's going to help the most is the guy we talked about last week in Brandon Ingram.
Why do you think he would help?
Because
Brandon
I feel
Ingram more?
like they're the main two guys, and Lonzo's going to take some like Brandon Ingram came in. And he was supposed to be the guy, and everyone's like, "Oh my
D'Angelo
God!"
Russell was still more seen as the guy last year.
They've got Brandon Ingram. He's lanky, but all he's got to do is add strength, and he's going to be we kept saying the next KD. He's KD like in like how he is and exactly coming out frame wise. Now people are like, with Lonzo coming in, that'll take a little bit off Ingram. Ingram can just do his thing. With Randall, I kind of feel like it's not going to relate. Just having Lonzo on the team ain't going to relate in the same way. And Randall, I don't see him falling out of this. I don't see him going further up this. I think next year he'll stay between 11 and 20.
Do you think that you agree with what Ricky's saying? Do you disagree? What's going on, Dave?
I'm mixed feelings because I know like as far as the impact for Lonzo Ball, and I don't want this to be the Lonzo Ball show, but I think Brooke Lopez and Lonzo is like the number one pairing.
But one thing we got to say is most of these guys, they're going to be affected on how the ball moves and how the point guard moves.
And you think the more ball movement, the better.
Yeah, none of these guys are going to be,
the problem is when no one can make shots.
I mean, not power forwards. None of these guys are going to be point forwards.
Right.
So, I mean, they all need the point guard to rely on them.
Yeah. Not Dario, but yeah.
Well, okay, you know what I'm saying, though. Like, pretty much every single player in this power forward ranking will not handle the ball at all times. Right. I mean, there's probably like 3 exceptions.
Yep.
So most of them rely on the point guard. So how is Julius Randle with Lonzo Ball on this team?
I think it's a clear impact because, like we talked about when discussing last year, their offense was completely D'Angelo centric. He was the guy with the ball in his hands, and it was 3-ball or bust to start that season. That's when they start off hot. They had great shooting, and it wasn't because he was, having the ball down low. It was because he would get those rebounds and have good putbacks. He was very active, like you said, on the boards, pretty aggressive down low. I don't know this year with Lonzo Ball and the ball movement coming. I expect him to have more looks at least because it's not the same game plan. You have way too many different pieces. It is no longer, try to be the Warriors-esque for the first, couple games this season. I think they're going to find their own identity. So I think he will get more looks. He will get more touches. I think it's a direct, he goes up because Lonzo's there. I absolutely agree. I don't think he's the number one guy benefiting from Lonzo, but I think there's a clear association.
So with that, do you think that out of these players, Dario, Aaron Gordon, and then Julius Randle, he does have the best opportunity to jump?
Yeah, he does.
So, Ricky, you weren't really sure when you said that he wasn't going to move up. Would you? Who else would you say? Would it be Aaron Gordon has the best shot? Would it be Dario has the best shot? I mean, out of at least the young guys, unless you want to go with an old guy.
The guy I really want, and yet again, people are going to say this is my bias, but I really want to say Taj Gibson, only because coming into a team that yes, we overhyped him last year, probably going to overhype him a little bit coming into this year, especially with the additions that they made, bringing back the Minnesota Timberwolves, but. The thing with Taj is coming back with a coach like Thibodeau, he's going to play again. Because last year, you got to understand with Taj, it was the most games that he started in his career, or besides his rookie season, was the most games he's ever started. And he basically took his stats from Thibodeau's last year and improved his scoring. A little few blocks, but improved his scoring. Kept everything similar with a few percentages better with free throws here and there. I feel like getting back, okay, I'm back with Jimmy, I'm back with Thibodeau. Maybe he makes a push, but I wouldn't be surprised.
But how would he make that push exactly? Because it's not Taj Gibson's going to be the fourth option most likely offensively.
He's going to be the fourth option, and also
possibly
you got to think I look at his stats and I go, yeah, you know what? He had 6.9 rebounds, but then I go. Now he's got Cat. He doesn't have Rolo. He's got Cat next to him. Cat's going to take some of those rebounds away from it. So, like I said, I want to say Taj because I like Taj and I like what he brings to the Timberwolves this season. However, overall, I kind of feel like maybe it's not shocking to say but none of these guys move in the top 10.
It's not all based.
one will have to because Dirk will be gone, but maybe none of them.
It's not for sure
up.
Dirk will be gone.
Well,
Pretty
if
sure
he is gone,
Dirk is
one's
never
going to
leaving.
move up.
Pretty sure he signed a 2-year contract.
But
so
if he is gone because he retires, one of them's going to have to move up.
and
I think Taj is just more of that X factor. It's not a stat line. It's the mentality. It's the locker room guy. It's the glue guy. And that's why we rate him as high as he is, because his stat line doesn't dictate that he should be 15 or whatever we've got him at. But what he brings to a team as a whole is much more than that stat line.
Especially off the bench.
That's what I want to say. Well, he's not even coming off the bench. He's going to be
No, I
starting.
know, but I look at his time. When you look at his time with the Bulls, he had 70 his rookie year, and then 15-16 and 16-17 with the Bulls, 55 start games. The rest, he was mostly a bench player.
Yeah, I mean, for half of his
Booze
career,
it.
half of his career, he played 585 total games.
Yeah.
245 of them, has started. I mean,
God, I
half of his
forgot
career,
Boozer was ahead of him.
half of his career.
There's a reason why
he's
he
been a bench
wasn't
player.
starting.
Yeah.
But with Taj, I think it's the intangibles that you really can't say, like Dave was saying. But how much can we really rank this? Because, again, when we talk about intangibles for a guard, it doesn't really matter because so many guards have the ball in their hands and they're making plays. The stat line is important because that's where it is.
Yeah.
So with power forwards, I mean, and probably centers too, I mean, when we're talking about intangibles, what intangibles are the most important for these guys from 11 to 30? Because we're probably going to get in superstar. We're going to get in superstar range in the next segment. But these guys aren't superstars. All of them haven't been superstars in their career. So at least, what is the intangible and the most recognizable intangible that you see out of all these players, or the most important intangible to have out of all these players for them to really be ranked high? Because right now, I mean, you look at the Morris brothers, they bring intensity, they bring defense, they bring rebounding, they bring that enforcer type. You look at Zach Randolph, he's brought that enforcer type and that rebounding before. Taj Gibson brings that defense and toughness mentality. Then you also look at Dario Saric, you look at Aaron Gordon, those guys bring athleticism, style. I mean, what is the most important intangible out of all these players?
I think honestly it comes down to leadership, and that's something where I look for the veterans. I look for these older guys like a Zach Randolph who has the chance to make an impact on a lot of younger guys on that team and be a leader for them going forward. And I know you don't want your leader to be getting a felony, but look, there are basketball leaders and then there are life leaders. Like Steph Curry's a great guy all around. Like that is fairly unique.
He's your
in the
life
sport.
leader, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying he's both.
Okay.
Like it's fairly
LeBron's
unique
both.
to have that. And yeah, our true superstars, we want them to be both. But at the end of the day, like you look at some basketball players, like that's a guy who I would love to learn the game of basketball from.
Like Rondo.
Yeah, Rondo, basketball, genius.
Probably
Freaking
not
wizard.
the best
in
life-
real life. Probably not the guy I want to hang out with all the time.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't want to be hanging out with Kobe off the court. I mean, at least early
That's
Kobe.
the thing.
Number
before
8 or
he
number
matured.
24?
Number 8.
Oh my
Questions.
god.
Before he made the
Important
change.
questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be saying, but like,
For me, it's leadership. Yeah.
so I mean, Ricky, what would you say? Would you agree that it's leadership on this?
Well, I like the thing with the leadership. I like what Taj brings with the leadership. Maybe that's it. Maybe with Taj, people could say, because I did have him ranked higher than both of you. I had him at 12 personally. Maybe you can look in. Hey, that's a little bit of Ricky's Bulls bias coming in and why he's up there. But
I mean, I had him 14.
Well,
it's not like
I
it's
know.
crazy. I think Taj brings a very important asset to this Timberwolves team that they didn't have.
The
He
thing
fits
that
him
I
up.
look at is there's one player, I'm not going to say where he's ranked 'cause he's in our top 10, but Serge Ibaka. And I know that you're talking about intangibles, but I can't help but at least look at the stats. And when you look at their two stats, Taj and Serge just has 4 points more per game,
It's a lot.
about 0.5 rebounds, about 1 block, and the per is just 1.
But
One
he
and a
has
half.
that 3-ball.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
And
that's
he has
the
that
thing.
weird length defensively.
Yeah, I mean, the difference
the
is
thing, like-
because
But
Taj
can Taj
is a
make up
leader.
for that with the leadership
No.
and with the off the court stuff?
No, because I'd rather have Serge on my team.
Yeah, it's that easy. Like I feel like there's only so much, and it's an intangible for a reason. Stats matter.
I think
just
it's what Tim Duncan brought together the most. Because when you look at a power forward, he had leadership and he fucking kicked ass on offense and defense.
Yep.
He was the best.
The big
mix, and
fundamental.
That's why he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, I think Dirk did that too. Dirk was a leader, Dirk, I don't know if Dirk really brought it defensively, but Dirk was unreal offensively. But let's jump into the top 10. Unfortunately, they were separated by segments. However, they were together. Marcus and Markieff Morris, 11 and 10. Coming in at 10, we got Markieff Morris, Washington Wizards. Number 9, we got Dirk, the ageless wonder from the Dallas Mavericks. I think it's some of a respect bump, but also Dirk was pretty efficient in the latter half of the season when Nerlens came over. Then at number 8, the Toronto Raptors. Weird saying that. Serge Ibaka, also former Orlando Magic, former Oklahoma City Thunder as well. Number 7, we got LaMarcus Aldridge from the San Antonio Spurs. Maybe a little bit low. We'll see. We'll talk about that. Number 6, we got Paul Millsap, the newest Denver Nugget. Number 5, we got Kristaps, the unicorn Porzingis out of New York. Then number 4, we got K-Love from the city of Cleveland. Number 3, we got Blake Griffin from the Los Angeles Clippers. Number 2, we got Draymond Green from Golden State. And number 1, we have Anthony Davis.
He counted. From 10 to 0.
New Orleans.
From 10 to 1.
He almost
Pelicans.
had it the last one, but he got it this one.
Got it.
There we go.
The
All right.
thing
Deshaun.
you got to mention with Surge too, Surge for Paul George straight up, because that's basically what happened.
Was it?
Yeah, because Sabonis and Oladipo are now in Indy.
Yeah, but you can't say that because then Terrence Ross went to.
No one remembers
There's other
Terrence
stuff.
Ross.
Yeah, there's too much. There's too much in there. No,
Well,
but
it's not
Terrence
Draymond.
Ross went
I'm
to
sorry,
the
it's not
Orlando
Draymond
deal.
for Vucevic.
This doesn't
Straight
matter.
up.
Hold on. This does not matter. Let's get into the actual rankings. This is what people are here
doesn't
for. Looking at this, people might say Kristaps too high, LaMarcus is too low, Draymond shouldn't be number 2. Looking at Dave, K-Love might even be too high. Ultimately, Dave, what do you think we got right and what do you think we got wrong?
I mean, Anthony Davis is a clear walk-away winner here. And I know this is the whole, is he a center, is he a power forward bullshit.
When
I know,
Boogie's on your team, you're a power forward.
yeah, it just comes that easy to me.
When they're going to be starting together.
Yeah.
So for me, that's easy. Anthony Davis is just a monster at the top. And I think the difference between the number 1 and the number 2 has never been wider for any position as it is for power forward.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys agree. I mean, just statistically, I mean, anything you want going forward, it's just Anthony Davis is the clear best power forward in the game.
Anthony Davis can be MVP and he can also be Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, like you look at Draymond. Draymond could definitely easily be Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
But I don't think Draymond ever is going to be MVP.
No.
You look at Blake Griffin. Maybe Blake Griffin gets to MVP. Maybe that's
Nick, he has to
stretching
do it all.
But he's not going to be Defensive Player of the Year.
No.
And he's a very well-rounded player. He's a very good well-rounded player.
Yeah.
And he
Same
gets
with
injured.
K-Love.
And he gets injured.
And
Don't forget that.
Kristaps is just young. So, I mean, ultimately, I think Anthony Davis, clear runaway winner.
Absolutely.
And I think centers might be another one where it might not be it might be a runaway winner as well. But we'll get to that next week. But still, Anthony Davis, runaway winner for number 1. How do you think that he's going to do now with the changes that they've made? Boogie with another season. I mean, I don't want to talk about Anthony Davis too much.
Rondo and moving Drew to the 2 possibly.
They bring our boy Ian Clark.
Yeah, I think that I honestly think that team
They can make the playoffs.
looks very good going forward. They played pretty well together for the last stretch of games. I really like this team. I want to be positive, but at the same time, like, this team has no coach, and I have a might bit of fear behind that lack of coaching.
Yeah.
So
Is that a little foreshadowing, Dave? Is that you're going to be your last ranked coach?
might be.
It's just going to say Pelicans for Dave.
It might be, but no. Look, this Sal, he's amazing. The team they've put now, they should change some pieces around. Brought Rondo in. I think that only good direction. They've not fucked this up yet.
So the Pelicans trending upward.
Trending upwards.
So
they're on the up climb.
That means Anthony Davis himself is on the upcline. Ricky, looking at LaMarcus Aldridge, we both ranked him at 7. Dave ranked him at 5. Do you think he's too low?
I don't think he's too low at all because, I mean, I look at what Kevin Love had a better season this year than the year before. Like, Kevin Love's the one where I think Dave might have him a little too high at number 2.
Dave has Kevin Love at 2.
Don't at me, bro.
But the thing
We'll talk about Kevin Love in a bit.
The thing that I think with Kevin Love is just the in relation to LaMarcus Aldridge is Love had a better season this year. Maybe last year or 2 years ago in the playoffs and the finals, his kind of taken a step back, put a negative part in our mind. And with LaMarcus Aldridge, a big thing I look at coming into this, and when I think about Millsap, Love, and Porzingis, the guys that really are the ones where it's like, okay, who's he going to be in front of? LaMarcus Aldridge we had questions about him in the playoffs where it's like, dude, like they beat the Rockets, and then it was like, where did LaMarcus go?
Yeah.
Like, where do you fit in? Did you forget how to, like, play in the system kind of a thing. Like, we were seriously
The system
having
wasn't built
questions
for
like that.
him. You're blaming a guy for playing in a system that's not built to have him be the one.
But then also with LaMarcus Aldridge, I think just one thing too is that he did pretty much quit on his team. And then also, I just want to say that doesn't even matter about the system. That doesn't matter about the system. That means about the player.
And when I look at Porzingis, it's like, if you asked me LaMarcus versus K-Love, I'll take K-Love. LaMarcus or KP, I'm taking the Porzingod every day. And even Millsap or LaMarcus, I'll take Millsap.
And I think that...
See, that's where I draw the line. I don't think I would take Millsap over LaMarcus Aldridge because we've seen what LaMarcus Aldridge can do in a system built around him.
But he's still in the system in San Antonio that just said doesn't work for him.
Well, it's not built around him. There's a difference. Like, he's a cog in the wheel of Kawhi Leonard winning them games. Like, him back in the Portland days was like, look, I can put up stupid numbers. He was in the same situation as Boogie was, where I'm on a terrible team. I'm not going to win a championship.
They were terrible. They made the playoffs.
Let's be honest. They didn't have a fucking prayer.
No, they didn't, but they still made the playoffs. They weren't terrible. They weren't as bad as the Kings were.
Fair.
But
he didn't put up as
Conference
ridiculous.
Finals.
He didn't have as ridiculous numbers as Boogie either.
That's true.
That's the thing. It's like when you're on those teams, yeah, you can put up ridiculous stat lines, and that's what I'm saying. Is like I don't just because he played poorly in this stretch of games in the playoffs, I don't want to discount him. The thing I do want to accept for him is the giving up on his team because he has done that, and this is not the first time he's done that.
Basically, when we just talked about leadership in the last segment.
Definitely a concern. That's why the only guy, it's just the Paul Millsap thing for me. I feel like Paul Millsap's in a different category.
I just feel like you look at their numbers. I mean, yes, LaMarcus had a better per, and it's usually a decent sign. I mean, I would say LaMarcus might be a better defender, but I mean, even then, I think Paul Millsap probably didn't have the best support, and when he did have a lot of support in Atlanta, he was absolutely fantastic. When they had that team working and firing on all cylinders with Korver, Teague, the dude on the Nets now, I'm totally blanking his name, got overpaid, DeMar Carroll, Paul Millsap, and Al Horford. I mean, that team was firing on all cylinders. Team. Yeah, and Paul Millsap was fantastic. I just feel like maybe going to the Nuggets, that might give him that boost. And I feel like I just have a sour taste from LaMarcus in general after what happened in the playoffs. And then, he's in trade talks and all this. I just ultimately have a bad taste in my mouth from LaMarcus where he needs to work himself back up to be a top 5 power forward in my mind. Because, I mean, I don't think it's anything where his talent declined. I just think that when a guy quits on his team, I think that leaves such a bad taste where you get dropped just for that. Because we talk about leadership and putting it all together. He doesn't have that.
No.
And I just think that's something where it kind of is a huge knock on him, and that takes him down. We got with Kristaps. Kristaps might have the second.
Sky's the limit.
They might have the third or second most talent on this list, either behind Blake or in front of Blake, and obviously behind AD. So I mean, why 5 for KP in your guys' mind? Because Ricky, you had him at 4. Dave, you had him at 6. I had him at 6. Ends up at 5. So why ultimately did you rank him where he is? And do you think that KP might finally hit that 20 plateau, that 20-point plateau? Do you think he's going to have that year where we finally say Kristaps is here? Because even last year he was kind of iffy. Like Kristaps wasn't having that great of a year, but they also didn't trust him that much.
No, I think the trust thing came down to, are we appeasing Melo at this point in time, or are we just playing games? Because that's. Honestly, I think that kind of overshadowed a lot of what he did last year for the Knicks. Well, just the whole Melo drama drew away from it. Like, he wasn't on all season, but he was pretty good. He continued to get better. And I think the thing for him is, like, they need to just openly finish the Melo saga. Like, once that's done, Porzingis, I have no questions, no qualms about his growth in the future and him being, the star in New York. The problem is, as long as Melo's still there, he's not, going to be, number 2 or number 3 in my power forward rankings because he's not going to have the ability to prove himself of being the guy in the biggest media market in America and being a superstar because he just has Melo over him. It's like Kyrie Irving. Like, and the difference is obviously, like, Melo's never going to win you a championship.
And Ricky, say that Melo cloud, it's true. Say that Melo cloud gets lifted over KP. Does he even get that, like, boost, though? Because he's then the guy, but then he's on a shitty Knicks team. And he's still on a
team
shitty
is
Knicks
instantly
team.
worse somehow.
Yeah, he's still a shitty Knicks team. But, I mean, does he get a boost from that?
Well, it comes back to the DeMarcus Cousins situation. Because I would relate the Knicks right now to where the Kings were when we were talking about the Kings might have been a little bit better where the Knicks are, but still it's the same thing. Like, he could be the best player on this shitty Knicks team, and we could look at it and go, man, is like KP's doing well, but man, that team sucks behind him. Like we did with DeMarcus.
If Melo gets traded tomorrow, think KP puts up 22 points a game, like 10 boards? I think he'd be a 22 and 10 guy.
I think so. I think with his ability to block shots, he could be a 22-10-2 guy.
Yeah.
But, the thing is that you can't build around a team around a 4. We know this.
Well,
Anthony Davis is number 1. He's not winning a championship. The guy number 2, Draymond Green, he's the 4th option.
But that's the thing and this is the main.
He's 2.
I know Dave wasn't going there with this, but this is the main difference when Dave brought up it's like Kyrie and LeBron. The main difference is I look at Kyrie and I see an ego. I look at KP, I don't see an ego. And that's the difference to where I feel like KP can be like, okay, yeah, I'm the guy now. They bring in like a guard that obviously this is a guard league, and KP goes, okay, it's us. And it's if you're the number 1 scorer, it doesn't matter as long as we're winning games.
He did no-show their exit interview.
That's because they were showing
pulled a little
respect.
bit of a diva move. He's saying no ego.
No,
and I'm saying
no.
he's got a little diva.
I feel like it's something where you just want respect shown.
Yeah, and that's where I'm going with it. That was an FU to management, not an FU to
We're talking
the players.
about the worst, man. We were talking about Phil Jackson running the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
That was
I
a
understand.
travesty.
They basically, and you could
Isaiah
say
ran that team.
Could have played into getting Phil fired. Because that happened, and then Phil was gone.
Well, and I think the thing is crazy, too. LaMarcus Aldridge, Kristaps Porzingis, Kevin Love, all been in trade talks.
Yeah.
Serge has been traded 3 times.
The value of a 4 in the NBA is very low right now.
And honestly, that's the reason why Draymond Green, who is the 4th option on his team right now,
which is crazy,
is the 2nd most valuable fucking 4.
Yep.
It's unreal. again, and he brings something where
2
it's
years
leadership,
ago,
grind. He brings all-around basketball game, and he's unreal.
Rick, you tell your 2 years ago story that you're still angry about.
What 2 years?
Draymond Green.
Suspended.
If he wasn't suspended, we would be talking about the 3-peat.
That's how important Draymond Green was.
Yeah.
Like, he went off. He went absolutely off that series.
Well, and one thing, all of these guys, Serge plays a role, but Serge is going to be the 4th option on a really good team. He was the 4th option on a really good team back when the Thunder went to the finals. It was Harden, KD, and then Westbrook, obviously. Anthony Davis, I feel like, is the only guy that could be...
He's the only number 1 option.
But do you feel like
Porzingis could be if Melo leaves.
Do you feel like Anthony Davis and Kristaps Porzingis, if they are the number 1 option and have a good guard next to him, they can win a title?
I do. I think that the time isn't right now.
Take out the Warriors.
It's still hard to believe because of LeBron James and all this craziness with super teams and all this bullshit teaming up.
I'm going to say this.
I think they could in the future, though, yeah.
Kristaps could win a title, but he has to be in a situation kind of like K-Love and Draymond, where both of them are in a situation to where they fit in. Because if K-Love was still in when he was in Minnesota,
Fat K-Love.
We were not talking about him winning a title. He gets to
the
Cleveland.
dub machine.
Yes, he's playing with LeBron, best player in the NBA, but it's the whole he fits that system. And like Draymond, you mentioned it.
I don't know if Caleb even fits that system, to be honest.
But he's
he had to learn how to shoot a 3-ball.
He hasn't fit in 3 years.
But it's not one of those things where it's a complete, like, oh my God, what is he doing? Why did they trade for him? Look at Draymond. Draymond fits in with that team, and they win titles. So Kristaps could, but he's not going to be like the I'm putting it on my back dude and going to put it up
every night.
To where he's just going to, they're eventually going to get a system and he'll work with it.
I don't know. It just the four's so weird, and I don't even know if it's weird saying that Anthony Davis might not be the number 1 option on a finals winning team just because he is that good.
Yeah.
Talent-wise, he's unreal.
Yeah.
But going to K-Love, because we brought up K-Love.
Well, before K-Love, and this kind of brings into him because he had to learn it, it's because the 3-ball. Everything's about the 3-ball now.
Hold on. Let's stop saying Caleb needed to learn a 3 when he got to Cleveland.
No. But
he had his best shooting year in Minnesota shooting the 3. He was shooting like 6 a night. But that was something
that it's like...
Come on.
That was the role that he was going to be put in with the Cavs.
There's a difference between shooting 6 threes a night and being told to go stand in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That's what I'm talking about.
He had to learn to be a spot-up shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine, but you're saying like he never knew how to shoot a 3.
I
Learn
did not
a 3 is like Joel Embiid learning a 3 in 3 years while he's injured.
He watched white guys shoot, which was kind of that's why we love Joel Embiid. Like,
he's fun,
and
we'll talk about him next week.
I can't wait. Number 1.
I know, we can't wait.
Spoilers.
But with K-Love and Dave, you had him at high at 2.
I had him at 2.
With that, why are you taking so much into K-Love, a guy that was the 3rd option on a team, and people were like, well, he's the weakest link.
In that system, he might have been weaker than Kyrie and LeBron, obviously. But I think that, honestly, what he brings to you, and as far as a player is concerned, He's an all-around player. There's nothing Kevin Love can't do, and he proved it by going to Cleveland and learning to be a role player all over again. And then he got to grow himself in the system, and then he continued to build his defense. He was guarding ones and twos. I mean, Kevin Love will do anything for you, and that's what's amazing about me. Like, the difference between him and Draymond Green honestly came down to the fact that my expectations for Kevin Love versus Draymond Green, like you keep saying, is fourth option in the system. Every once in a while, he still jumps up and puts out a lights out night.
I mean,
the 5-5-5-5.
He's gonna have a 5. He's gonna if anyone has a 5x5, it's gonna be Draymond Green.
And fair enough. But I just think that Kevin Love is the most versatile four outside of Anthony Davis there is in the game, and I think that everything he does, like, he is solid. He's solid or better at everything. Draymond Green, to me, I can't put him that way. I can't have him at. I think it's very close, but I give the edge to Kevin Love.
And one thing with Kevin Love I want to mention, at least in the playoffs, he had an unreal playoff. I mean, you look at his efficiency, you look at his ability to rebound, you look at his ability to score. Shot 43% from the field, shot 45% from three, shot 84 from the line, 10 rebounds, 16.8 points per game. I mean, he had his best year in the playoffs last year. And he's getting better and he's finally getting into that role.
Exactly.
But again, it's one thing where K Love was a 2020 machine back in Minnesota. But then again, that guy couldn't be the guy. I mean, all these guys can't be the guy. If the only guy looking at the two guys that probably are going to be the guys, at least on their team, Anthony Davis, Blake Griffin, any of them have a shot to be MVP or NBA first team.
We talked about at the start of the year last year with Anthony Davis, when he was putting up the stupid 50-point stat lines.
Well, yeah, he was averaging 30 and
he was averaging 40 for the first week.
Yeah,
and then it got down to a reasonable 37.
Him and DeMar DeRozan. Yeah, that's what it was.
Oh my God, that was an amazing start to the season.
But do you guys think that they'll be at least top of their position? I mean, obviously outside of Anthony Davis, but do you think Blake can make that jump like Anthony has?
No, I don't think Blake can. Even if losing Chris Paul means he's going to have increased usage.
And JJ.
Getting in very new players. Bringing in a 30-year-old veteran from Europe to be your point guard of the future. I love Milos, but still. I don't think that he's going to make a jump. I think he's going to be pretty much the same player he was last year. Honestly, I don't see his stats change that much. I don't see Blake continuing to grow.
Ricky, you were high on Blake in the Clippers last year, and obviously Blake got injured again. But do you think that he could take a jump, possibly, if he stays healthy?
I mean, if you're going to get 82 games of Blake Griffin versus the expected 60, 50, maybe, 40.
For me, this is what I think, and I could be wrong, I could be right. AD and Draymond are 1-2. No changing it in my mind. Unless,
I know. I'm not saying that, but specifically to Blake Griffin, I'm not asking who's going to jump. If Blake Griffin is healthy, can he make a jump in his mind? Can he? I'm just asking.
No, that's what I'm saying.
As a number one option now.
AD and Draymond are 1-2.
What does Blake need to do to make that jump?
Nothing.
So,
to me,
if he puts up 30, 20, and blocks 5 shots a game, he's staying at number 3.
To me, I look at it.
Hard 3.
Unless,
you have a floor, Blake, and a ceiling.
Because it's the roof. But realistically, to me, it's AD, Draymond. I don't see Kevin Love jumping it. I don't see KP. I don't see Blake Griffin. And for me, it's those 3 fighting for number 3. And
but
for me, I look at
what would it take, Blake?
What would it take for Blake to make a jump?
Ball out like AD did and basically go 40
now he is
points per game.
Okay, AD
he didn't
never
have to do
did
that for the full season.
But he's never done that.
You know what I mean? More like I'm thinking DeMar DeRozan type, where we're talking neither
one of them did it for the full season.
No, I'm not saying full season, but even for that, and I'm not saying he's going to do that, but that's kind of the ridiculous thing that I would need because of what Anthony Davis and Draymond are to not only their teams, but the game and their position.
Do you think that Blake, now as the sole number one option in LA, can be a at least a very useful player, and not useful because I think that's kind of disrespectful, but do you think that Blake will continue this production without Chris Paul?
It's going to be, here's the thing, and the big thing that I think plays into it is Milos. Because the whole thing we mentioned with Blake Griffin, and yes, he kind of worked on an outside shot, but really lob city. If Milos can lob the ball up to Blake Griffin, he'll be A-okay.
All right. Let me read the stat line from you, and I want to see if this will say that you can say that this guy would be number 2. If he plays 35 minutes a game, shoots 51% from the field, shoots 47% from 3, 78% from the line, grabs 8.6 rebounds per game, 6.2 assists per game, has around 1.2 steals per game, puts up 26.2 a night. Do you think that Blake Griffin would be able to be number 3? So 26, 8, 6, shooting 51% from the field and 47% from 3.
I'd at least think about it. I
Dave?
wouldn't for sure put it in, but I'd at least give it a little bit of a thought.
This was Blake's stat line in February.
I'd give it a little bit of a thought.
If you're getting 35 minutes a game from Blake, 26 a night, 8.6 rebounds per game, 6.2 assists per game, shooting over 45% from 3,
Yeah, if I get that for a full season,
field.
Absolutely. I don't expect that to ever happen.
I'm just saying.
He
did
has
it once
done it for a
before, and
month.
that was with Chris Paul.
For a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah,
like,
I'll give you Joel Embiid stats for a
Dave,
month.
we need to talk about something in this fucking podcast.
No, I mean, again, he's good. He's not great. As my answer. Like, the problem with power forwards as a whole is, like you said, the game has moved away from it for right now. I don't think it's going to be long term. I just think it's, for a couple of years, it's going to be very hard to win around power forwards. Maybe it's because Anthony Davis, like you said, there's 4 or 5 great power forwards in the NBA, and there's a lack of depth, clear lack of guys who have it. We look at point guards, and I hate bringing this up every time, but point guards, there's 20 deep where you have quality point guards. That doesn't exist for power forwards. And honestly, I think that helps contribute to the way the game is played today. It just, when you don't have talent there, you can't build a game around it.
Well, and I'm just waiting for, but also, I mean, with power forwards, there's been guys that have definitely transcended the position, like Tim Duncan.
A couple years ago.
Karl Malone, all these guys have transcended the position, but you see more guards and forwards.
The NBA is changing its rules to be more guard
No, but I'm
friendly.
saying, even historically, the greats are mostly guards and forwards, and actual small forwards, guys who would play the 3 in this NBA.
Maybe.
Just saying.
Maybe.
I don't know. Anyways, let's wrap this podcast up. If you guys want, you can leave your comments down in the section below, because that's what it's there for. That's what the comment section there is for. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe and like on this channel. Did we update the Patreon yet?
Yes, we did.
Cool. Then just check out patreon.com/mostlypodcast. We're revamping it. We're going to add some cool stuff. $1 will get you an audio-only podcast. $2 will get you a video podcast.
Get to see our beautiful faces.
Each month, and it's going to be fun. We're going to talk about a lot of different things, maybe sports, maybe not sports.
We Tindered in the past. Mark may hate it, but I will bring it up each and every time.
We did.
We Tindered.
It was a pretty decent podcast. That was back in October. Dave, Ricky, and I did it, so it was pretty fun.
And they could catch that too. It's still up there. You
could. And anyways, Patreon's there. Check out our Twitters. Check out our Facebooks. Check out Snapchat, Instagram. Check out all those. We gotta push that out. If you're listening to Block Talk Radio, thank you so much. If you download it, you rock. Again, YouTube guys, you know what the deal is. Also, just want to throw out there, Conor McGregor, best of luck to you against Floyd Mayweather.
I hope he knocks him out.
I hope he does too. He's not going to, because Floyd is 49-0 in his boxing career, going to be 50-0 because he is one of the best boxers in my lifetime.
Patriots were undefeated and they fell.
Yeah, but the Giants played football that year.
I know.
In their career, they had football players.
It'd be like if the Bulls or the Knicks came in and beat the Patriots.
I don't know about that. That's kind of a stretch. It's kind of like
it's a New York team not playing a sport that they play.
It's different. Anyways, good luck to Connor is all I'm saying. But for Dave Oster, for Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.